Hi, people. Welcome to the living room. You know what we do on the living room. We talk about controversial issues. We talk about trending issues. We talk about issues that bring about arguments, so that we have a different sides, different take on our topic of discussion. And today is no difference because today promises to be another key lit episode. Let me use that word. Key lit. Everything. All right, so in the studio with me today, I've got my people. I don't do this alone at all. And I'm starting off with Kenny, who is my second female on the set. Yes.
Yes.
Kenny, hi.
I'm fine. Happy New Year. We've not seen each other this year, so.
No, we haven't actually. So yeah, Happy New Year.
Same to you.
And yes, Kamal is also here. Kamal, hi.
Hello. Wagwan.
No, put the life into it because this is not
That's
you.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
good
been
to
a
see
while.
you. Yeah, it
thank
has
you.
been. Well, while we were offset, I was saying that you've added some flesh to the last flesh I saw. Like, you're not part of us here in Nigeria. So
Are you serious?
you're just from another planet.
Amen. Oh.
But it's fine. It's allowed. No
Amen.
issues. No
Thank you for the
issues.
compliment.
And finally, we do have a guest that do come in at one point and the other. His name is almost as similar to mine, but we just have this one letter that differentiates our name. He's Temi Tayo,
Yeah, sure.
and I'm Temi Dayo. So
Yeah.
we're both Temi in anyways.
Yeah, it's good. The combination.
Yeah,
Very
so-
well. Good to be here.
We're glad to have you on
Looking
set.
so pretty.
Well, I try my best. I do try my best to stay up.
All
Even
right.
though the producer is not giving me money, but it's fine. It's fine.
All
But great
right.
to have you guys on set today.
Always a pleasure.
All right, so let's go straight into our conversation. You know
Yeah.
how we do it. Let's just hit it as it is at. All right, so we all know how it is when it comes to marriage and relationship issues. Basically, what we talk about. And then when you want to get married, you have to either go to the church or to the mosque and then have some people bless the union, so-called union, as it is. Now, does the involvement of clerics, now, we're very religious people in Nigeria. Now, the involvement of clerics in this union or at some point in the relationship or marriages, is this more of a blessing or the other way around? You know how fanatic we can be when it comes to religion, and something happened, you want to go to your pastor, you want to go to your imam for, let the ones that have gone ahead, give us direction on where to go. So is their involvement in marriages especially, is it more of a blessing with what we've seen so far in marriages these days? Is it a blessing or, I don't want to use the word cut, because no. So is it more a blessing or the other way around? I think I'm going to start off with you, Tim Tayo.
All right. To me, it's a blessing. It's good. It's fine. Depending on the perspective you're looking at from. So, being a pastor, a genuine pastor, not just a pastor, genuine one.
So how do we tell? How do we tell who is the genuine pastor?
By their fruits, you shall know them.
Plenty fruits from different trees.
All right. By what they do, how they run their church, and you look at the family the pastor is coming from. What is it building? How does the children look like? How does his own home look like? So if he's successful in what he's doing, if he's giving you an advice, then wisdom is profitable for you to follow whatever he's telling you.
So you certainly would go with the fact that their involvement
Yes.
is a blessing.
Yes.
Come on.
Thank you for having me once again.
Great pleasure to have you here.
I'm very controversial, right?
Yeah, so pick
Yeah.
your angle, shoot your shot.
So I'll just say I wouldn't call it a blessing. There are advantages to it, but it's definitely not a blessing to me. Yeah, because most of these pastors or imams and stuff, they also have failed marriages. So who would they run to? Am I running to somebody who is going to help me when they couldn't help themselves? When it comes to religious, like giving me ideas about how to go about the things of God and all that, I can say, yes, it's a blessing. But when it comes to marriages, I doubt that it's a blessing.
Okay, but remember, your marriage now, hypothetically, was done at that same church if you were to be married.
Yes.
Because for him to be your cleric, that means you're connected to that particular church at some point. Now, let's hypothetically say you got married in that church. So whatever gives you the right to, or the mind for you to get married there, that means he has an authority over you.
Yeah,
So
over
why
the
would
marriage.
he, at this point, now be you trying to weigh in?
Well, like I said, some of them have failed marriages. Even my friend here said a good pastor, right? A genuine pastor. I've seen genuine pastors who couldn't even maintain their own marriage. You know, when the news comes, boom, it's like a big thing. Everybody's talking about it. But that doesn't change the fact that they are genuine pastors. But clerics are no solution to marriages, you know. They also have their mistakes. We are all humans. You know, sometimes they can give you an advice based on what you tell them. If you should go to a cleric or pastor and give them a story which is not entirely true, they're going to give you advice based on what you told them. You understand now? So they don't know the facts. They just know what you told them. So they're giving you advices based on what you told them, which might not be the solution because you yourself are not even honest with
Wait.
whatever happened. You know,
Oh, okay.
at home.
So that makes the advice or counseling in a
Dicey.
way become dicey.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to Kenny. Kenny, for you, what's your take, a blessing or the other way around?
It's definitely not a blessing. You know, it's quite a respect that an African, we hold religion in high regards, even down to our pastors and the churches or mosques that we go to. Now, these places are places of worship. And you as a pastor, it is your job to bring people closer to God. You have no business in marriages. You have no business in marriages. Sorry. If you want to get involved in marriage, you need to go and get yourself certified in the area of couple therapists. You have no business in being around. It's meant to be a place of worship. You are meant to bring people closer to God, not people closer to their marriage. Let them fix it. If they have any issue, then they can go to their couples therapist. So if you know you want to be a pastor and get involved in relationships or marriages, then get certified. And he talked about the fact that some of them, they have good marriages so they can talk about it. No, it's not. That is basically their experience that they're giving you as an advice, and which is not good. Now, everything about life is, therapists will give you both their experience and coupled with studies and, over years of study that they've had. So, and that is what makes it important. So as a pastor, you have no business. Your church is a place of worship. You worship, you go home. You have no business getting involved in people.
Okay,
Doesn't
so
make
I'm
sense.
going to come in and counter you on that based on the fact that we have counselors. Yes, they've gone through the process. But me as a counselor, now, I would also, don't you think I would also give you advice based on what perspective of what you have given to me, just like Kamal said, and not because I'm designed to be able to understand what you are going through. Is it still not
you
a
are designed.
personal
You are designed. That is
opinion?
why you went for that study. You are designed to understand them, not based on your own experience. As a therapist, you are not even supposed to give them based on your experience. It's better what they tell you and what you're able to study based on what they come together to talk about will determine that. And it is not a short process, it's a long process. Can your pastor go with you on that long process? They can't. And that is why they call them couple therapists. A pastor can go the long way because there are a lot of people that are involved with them. But with the couple therapies, it's a long thing. So it's something that you guys do for a long time. It takes a lot of work. It's a lot of process to get to. Yeah.
Okay.
It takes a lot of process. If you've been to couple therapists, you should know that.
Come on,
It takes a lot
do
of
you agree
process.
with what Kenny's saying?
I partially agree with what she said. Though.
Why?
We're on the same side, but I feel like when marriages get to a point where you and your spouse can't really settle it and you need outside interference, I think it has gone beyond repair. That is what I believe.
Okay, and then some people have to come in to help you sort this issue.
Well, I disagree with the fact that people have to come in to help you stop, because me and my wife were living in the same house. If both of us can understand each other, is it someone outside that is going to understand or tell us how we are supposed to live?
Especially being your pastor or
Exactly.
your clerics. Let's not limit
Even
it
the
to-
so-called counselors, sorry to use that word, even the counselors, you understand, they like both two people in a union, we date to a point where we get married. If it gets to that point where we can't actually, come to common grounds and sort our issues without involving a third party, be it whoever, parents, counselors, pastor, if we can't settle things by ourselves, I think we should just start thinking about it dissolve the
And
marriage.
setting things by yourself or sorting out things by yourself, that is where the aspect of therapists come in, not pastors. I've said it before. See, the fact about it is that it might not have worked for you probably because in Africa, we don't actually believe in the aspect of couple therapy. We don't believe that. That is why a lot of people go to pastors to go and meet them for this kind of advice. But the truth about it is that there are a lot of people going through a lot. And you'll be surprised that when this set of people come in, there's a lot of things that you get to understand about each other. That's why I said that they don't talk. Couples therapies, they don't talk about their experience. They're mostly focused on your own experience, your relationship. And that is why they're able to bring it together to make sure that both of you come together and come to an agreement. And if that doesn't work, yeah, then fine.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to you, Temitayo, because these guys are on a different level entirely. Now, you are in agreement with the fact that, yes, clerics coming in is a blessing. Clerics interference or involvement in marriages is a blessing. Now, because of the fact that I am a cleric or I'm your cleric, does that give me an authority to be a good counselor when it comes to marriage issues?
Yeah, when it comes to marriage issues, that is why I make use of that word genuine. You must have passed through some stages before you can be called a cleric. Even as a cleric, you go through education, all right? And you must be taught how to manage conflicts. And saying that you do not agree taking your matter to a third party, fine. But there are some situations whereby you may not be able to solve that issue. Someone needs to come in. And coming in, the person must be knowledgeable in that aspect. Then, number two, the person must be objective because both of you will be emotional at that moment. But the person coming in must understand the situation, the issue on ground. So as a cleric, a genuine one, you must go through training before you can be called a cleric. So going through training, you must know that people that come to your church come from different families.
I'm going to inject there when it comes to going through training.
Yes.
Because what we have in Nigeria right now, people are springing up in different parts and saying, God called me. God called me. God called me. Everyone receiving call. I don't know through what network, but they are all they're all receiving calls. And such people have followers. And followers in Nigeria or church members, they believe because my pastor said this,
that's how
then it is right. You get, and such people or such person has also caused some issues in families. How do you react to that?
All right. In as much want to blame these clerics, the so-called clerics who doesn't receive the direct call, probably indirect calls before getting. But the most important thing is that even as followers, we have a lot to do. But how do you understand these people when you have issues? Like I said, please let us note those words that the person who wants to counsel you must have a successful marriage. All right. And you are having that scenario, peradventure you're having a conflict in your home, they are in a good position. Why? Because they are spiritual. That is the only advantage they have ahead of you.
So they can see
they are an intermediary between you and God. So they hear from God. You also hear from God, but one is closer.
And we need the spiritual over the physical.
Yes. Everything that happens in the physical happens in the spiritual.
Sure.
All right. So their level of spirituality will help them counsel you the right way.
Okay, so this system is how you're talking like a typical pastor. I think you have a call already. Okay, so I'm foreseeing that call coming in.
No. But once you are a Christian, I can speak in that authority because I'm a Christian. You should have a direct contact with God. Be you a pastor or a follower, you should be able to commune with God. Isaac wasn't a pastor before God spoke to him. So God can speak to anyone. But if God is even speaking to you and you said, okay, there's a situation beyond your control as a couple, you can walk up to your pastor if you know that the pastor is having a successful marriage.
Okay, so we're taking an example from the successful marriage of your cleric before you can go ahead and seek counsel.
Yeah.
Now, Kamal, my next question is on to you. Now, when you say you don't, you're not in agreement with someone else coming from the outside to help you sort your issues, where does place of mentorship come in for you in your marriage? Now, imagine let's create this scenario that you are a jaye person. And the same applies to your wife. So you're talking to your partner, she's not listening to you, she's also talking to you. You're both living the way I think it is best. So how do you seek direction? How do you rectify issues when you don't want a third partner to come in?
Well, when there's a problem, the first thing to do is to go to the roots of the problem. So I'm taking it back to the dating phase. A lot of people just go into marriage because they want to get married. You don't take enough time to get to know your partner. And in the sense of getting to know your partner, you have to know their good, their bad, their worst. Can you actually manage their worst without involving anybody? This is what has broken a lot of marriages. You just rush. And at the end of the day, you discover that this person is not actually someone you can handle or manage.
But you can't know someone
you have
completely.
to. You have to an extent.
It's not possible.
That means
you
you
can
have to.
easily be dating someone for 5 years and might still not know everything about that person. So no. So that is a disagreement.
And that means something
That's a
is wrong
disagreement.
somewhere. I mean, you guys are not honest with each other.
No.
Please, excuse me. One thing we must know is that there are two things that are inevitable in life. One, death. Two, conflict. There is no way, or there is no how close you can be with someone. The conflict will surely arise. And at the level of conflict, we have different level of conflict. But you get to a level whereby it's beyond your own capacity and the capacity of the other person. You just need that extra, objectivity for someone to just come and tell you to your face, you are wrong.
Yeah, as long as the person is not a
Because you
pastor.
can't be a judge in your own case.
Are
As
you
long as the
trying to
person is not a
say that
pastor,
during
no.
your dating phase, you guys didn't have conflicts and settled? Because definitely we have conflict during the dating phase now, and we settle.
But
You said
But
it's
where
not.
I'm going to is this. When your partner is angry, these are the little things that we need to take into consideration. What is their reaction like? How do they react when they're upset? Is it someone that gets upset and starts smashing things? Is it someone that gets upset and start calling people, insulting you? And you feel like, oh, okay, let's just get married. Things will get better. Maybe when we become one. And then when we become one, you see that, okay, it starts from little, and before you know what's happening, you can't control it anymore. But you saw this coming from the past. You saw it coming when you were dating. And you felt like, okay, you can manage it. Now it's above you. And you feel a third party can come and fix it for you. Sorry to say, if that third party comes to fix it, how long is it going to last before you have another conflict you can't handle?
And what about those characters that you don't show? It's until when you get married that they start showing. And mind you, even sometimes there are some kind of characters that it might not naturally be you. But once you get married, it starts to change. Who you as a person starts to change. That comes in, and that is where you still need someone to talk to, as long as it's not a pastor.
Okay, so now this is where you need the counsel of those who have gone ahead of you in that race.
That is certified.
But your clerics can also come into place and be that person, right?
Your cleric doesn't have to.
Sorry.
It doesn't have to. And the truth about it is that it has affected a lot of relationship as well today. And I've talked about it before that I have experiences as well. I had a guy that is dating this lady. Like everybody in our school, we know that this guy, both of them will get married. No issue. They like each other. They understand each other. And one day I saw the guy. I was like, what's up? How is your girlfriend? He was like, she's not dating me anymore. I was like, what happened? What did you do again? I was like, he didn't do anything. That she went home and went to go and see her imam. And the man was not telling her that his spirit saw it that it's not meant for her. Nobody wala. So the lady now left him. She had to start dating someone and she got married and everything. And years later, the guy said that she's reaching out to him and telling him that she actually regretted the decision because this was made for him by a cleric. And this happens a lot in the world of today. So you can't tell me. See,
you
as long
can't
as you are
limit
not
that to the
certified.
cleric alone.
And he still keeps insisting on the fact that
No.
their marriage is successful.
Even in the olden days, in the traditional way, listen, in the traditional way, before you could get married, you have to consult the oracle to determine if the joining of these two individuals will be pleasing or not.
And the oracle can be wrong. So what are we saying? The oracle can be wrong.
But I want to
So what are
also
you
come
saying?
in. I want to also come in and join Kenny on this part.
Okay.
Now we've seen situations where clerics will tell you, oh, something tells me this guy is not your man. This
It
is
don't
the
happen
person.
to me well now.
Ah.
Don't even call him my babe.
So you would have been married by now. You see, Kamal would have been married by now. But but a cleric came in and said, no, this is not your person.
Let's put things into perspective. It's two sides of a coin. One, now, if you want to go to a cleric, peradventure to determine, okay, if this person is good for me or not, your mind, your spirit must also agree. All right. So if your spirit does not agree with the cleric, that means it's a no-no. Whatever you are telling me and does not align with my belief, I do not follow.
No, so
Do you understand?
You have a
So,
but. Yeah, he has a but there.
yes,
so.
if you are telling me, okay, this person is not good for me enough, and I know whether I'm not convinced, I will not follow. Right. So another thing is this: many people tend to tempt their cleric. You already knew within you that this is not where you're going. You just want to sample their opinion. So many are not being objective when they are going to their cleric, either for advice or to determine their future partner.
But that's because I believe you are more knowledgeable than I am. I want to get your opinion. You're close to God, and you can tell if this is a good or bad. I'm going on a new path, on a very new path, and I have no direction. And you can always go to your clerics,
Yes,
your pastors, your imam. Oh, please put me through. Oh, please, especially, we Nigerians are religious people.
Very
And
correct.
we believe in our
Putting you
pastors.
through
Is it
Very
before
well.
For you,
dating
not to
or
tell you how
during
it
when you
goes.
are dating the person that you're going to see the cleric? Why don't you just see the clerics? Maybe this person, you like this person, you just take the person's picture or name to the cleric and say, can I date this person? Before it actually germinates to wanting to get married, like let the cleric tell you now.
That's you.
This one
That's
I
you
did not even take the
inspiration.
picture. You get it hand up.
That's
So,
it.
Just take
All
the
right,
name
let,
check.
let me
Okay.
come in this way. Okay.
Okay.
We must understand one thing. Before you can take a name to a cleric for prayer. I don't support that anyway. I don't support that. If you believe in God and you pray to God, you are a child of God. God can speak to you. God speaks to anyone who is willing to listen to him, be you a pastor or a follower. That is one. Secondly, once you begin to have intimacy, the pastor will see no other person than that person. But before you engage in deep intimacy,
Sick counsel.
yes, seek counsel. And if the pastor is genuine, he will say the correct thing. But let
that
me
is the
also
problem.
come in
See-
this way.
Okay.
They are man of God.
Okay.
The man will come in.
It's still there. Right. So
The
let's hold on
box.
to that opinion. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, our conversation certainly will continue to the living room. Stick with us. All right, welcome back to the living room. And today we're looking at cleric involvement in marriages, a blessing or the other way. I don't want to use the word curse. No, a blessing or the other way. And before we went on that break, okay, so Kenny dropped the bomb that we were talking about, that oracles can be wrong. And oracles can also come in human form. They can be wrong, or they can't be wrong. Kenny, you want to?
Yeah, so I still have a problem with him using the phrase genuine pastor, genuine pastor. See, there are those that were never called, and there are those that are called and got lost in the way. So the fact is, you can't know who is genuine or not. That is the reality of the world that we have today, especially with a lot of the fake pastors that we have. So we all know about the issue of TB Joshua. This is a man of God that a lot of people likes, and I have my hands to that. I also went to his church. So you see what is happening, that a lot of people felt that this man is a genuine man. We've seen a lot of things happening, and now see what is coming out. And that is where the aspect of genuinity is a problem for me, because a lot of people that you think they are holy, they know enough, in the end might not know much. So that is where you have to be careful. That's why you need to meet certified therapists or couple therapists, not pastors or your imams. No.
Kamal, would you allow a cleric whom you can see is also divorced or separated counsel you?
On what aspects? Counseling me on marriage?
Yes.
Definitely no.
Why?
Because he's divorced, for crying out loud now. what other advice? The advice he couldn't use to save his marriage, and he wants to give it to me. No,
And
no,
that
I
is
can't.
why you shouldn't go to them. These are part of the reason.
I
Either
can't.
it's successful or not.
It's obvious
they are
Kenny's
not-
on the same part.
Please,
So let's
I can't.
don't use that word. Don't go to them. I keep saying this, that it's two sides of a coin. Even the therapists you're talking about have a failed marriage.
And that is why I said something before. You are not going there to ask about their experience. You're going there to work on your own marriage. So we have to be careful in that regard. They are not giving you your own experience.
Okay.
They're not giving you your
but-
experience. They are looking at your own experience, what you do, giving you some tasks to do in order to bring you together. That is the key thing that we need to understand there. They are not talking about their experience. And you're talking about pastor being successful. Hey, it will work.
Okay, now this is where I'm coming from. I have a cleric, okay, who is married for 36 years. All right? My marriage will be 3 years this year.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Okay, now, the thing is, he speaks from experience. I've never been to him for counsel, but indirectly, I look at his way of life, the way he manages his marriage and his ministry is working for him, for crying out loud.
And it can happen to anybody. See, the fact about it, that people around you, I have people that have been married for 40 years. They don't have a child. They are also a lesson to me. So the same way your pastor is a lesson to you in that regard, anybody can be.
Yes.
So I don't have to
Kenny.
now
So
go
that's
to
what I'm
him
saying.
for an advice.
Even a therapist who knows, who read, who is certified in that regard can still fail. So the bone of
course.
contention is this.
Of course, yeah.
If you're saying don't go to a cleric for a counsel, you can also say don't go to any third party for a counsel.
No,
That's what I said
you go
now.
to a third person because you're certified, not a pastor
That's
that
what I
is
said.
Because
Your
there
pastor
is
a-
no
your church is a place of
automatic
worship.
template for successful marriage.
Okay.
There isn't, but the obsession that we've had today as Africans with going to our pastors for advice or whatever intervention
Because we
is a
believe
problem.
they are
And it's a problem,
demigods.
and all this killing us today. How
We
long?
believe-
See, the fact about it is that I still have a pastor today that she
Okay.
told me that my man is in Ghana. Every time I have a man call me, I'll be asking, "Are you just coming back from Ghana?" So you can't put me on hypertension, possible. So that is the reality about it. These things are not true.
But wait, let's look at the fact that he is divorced, or he also had a failed marriage and everything. Kamal, don't you see that it can be, like you said, a two side of a coin? Now, I have gone through the experience. I see that I failed in this aspect. And so, me being a cleric, I can use my failure to help you get better.
Well, people are different. Probably what he tried with his partner that worked or didn't work for him. I might decide to take his advice and try it with my own partner, and it wouldn't work.
But it could work.
That is under probability. It could work and it might not work. So it's not certain. I'll just say, I will just still go with how, though I said we shouldn't let a third party sort marriage issue, but I'd rather go for a counselor, a professional counselor,
Yes, I
than go
agree
to a
with finally.
spiritual
Yeah.
or let me say a cleric. Because this counselor went to study the art of marriage
Yeah,
and
not just
management of
experience, yeah.
marriage. It's not about being spiritual this time around, because marriage is not spiritual, actually. It's more physical. It's more physical because in a year, 5 people might
I
get married and only
disagree.
one marriage will survive it.
I
Only one.
disagree.
You
But-
understand?
but it
But
can
when you
be the
go
other
to
way.
when you go to a cleric, is on the spiritual aspect. And I still maintain the fact that you can't even tell him everything that is going on in your house.
Exactly.
But know that the spiritual control the physical.
Stop. See, this is the problem.
Marriage
Now,
is
if you look at spiritual.
Everything we
We're not
do
talking
is
about marriage. Anything
spiritual.
could happen that is causing a problem with marriage. Now, pastors, you can't be telling pastor that my husband, he doesn't know how to give me doggy, or he doesn't know how to get down on me. How many pastors will be ready to listen to that?
Some
So they
could
work.
Some
could.
could.
How many of them?
And
the
that's
pastor
the
will be
reality about
telling-
them.
will be
So is that
telling-
spirituality will not come in and say,
No,
say
let
you
me
should
tell
not
let me
do-
tell you
no,
something.
no,
Let me
no,
tell you
no.
something. One thing we don't understand is that even if you're a pastor, that doesn't stop you from learning.
Yeah, so, but is ready to listen to all those
You
things.
must learn because you are handling people. You deal with people. Let me give you an instance. I have this belief that parental prayer and blessing is superior than that of the pastor, right? But I have a scenario, like I shared this morning, a father impregnating the wife of the son. Now, what do you say to that? If you say, okay, you're not going to a cleric because they are not certified in that field, what about your parents? Are they not, do they have this experience, been married for years? Can they advise you? They can advise
Is,
you.
is it the
But
same parents that impregnated the girl that we
They're
advised?
not going back to advice. So
Will you
that's
now
why we
say,
see-
hold on, will you
You
now say
see-
because the man failed the son, does that mean that my own father cannot advise me? No, I can't judge because of that, because of some fake pastor who doesn't have deep understanding about marriage. You can now conclude and say, okay, because of that, I will not go to cleric for an
Don't go
advice.
to
You can't
both of
even
them.
go
Both
to your
parents and
father
don't
to
go all of
advise
them.
you. You
Go,
can't
don't
go to your father in
So
that
that
aspect.
is what I'm
You said it.
saying.
So you-
That
you
even
actually said it
going
because-
to
You can't go
third
to your
party
father.
in the first instance is not correct.
So who helps
So I
you?
said it at the
So
first
who is
instance
going
that
to
you
do
don't need a
that?
third party in your
Wait,
marriage.
wait. Even you, Tayo, you're joining them.
Eh,
So
no,
if
No, no,
if
hold
no,
on.
no, hold
You
Is-
are.
no, you hold on. You hold on this
Okay.
part. Now you're saying don't even go to anybody, but it will get to a point where it gets so confusing. You've not done this before. This is like your first year or second year in marriage, and you're having issues. You have to talk to someone who has gone ahead of you. But if you're saying don't let the third party come in, being the parents, being friends, and all that, so that we can resolve our issues, what if you're resolving it the wrong way? And at the end of the day, we are both ending up breaking our heads. Won't you seek help from those who have the capacity to put you?
Now, it is allowed. Like I said earlier, conflict is inevitable. In marriage, it will arise. And for you to go to that third party, it means that you've tried all your possible best and you couldn't get an held way. One. Now, secondly, going to them does not mean that they will tell you, oh, hi, okay, this is what you must do. They will only advise you. We live by choice in life, not by chance.
And that's what your cleric is also doing.
It will
Advising.
only advise you. So going for the advice is not wrong.
And that advice, I mean, we've talked about it, how people
So it now
hold pastors
depends
in
on
high
you
regards.
if you go with the advice or not. But saying that we should not go to them at all is what I'm saying that no, you cannot say that.
Tayo, stay one place. Stay one place.
You can go for the advice. Going by the advice is another thing.
Okay, come on.
Well, like I said before, I don't support third party. You understand? You have to be honest with yourself. If you're having issues in your marriage, you should be honest to yourself personally before even blaming your partner. You be honest with yourself. What am I doing wrong? What is my partner complaining about? What's the issue he or she has with me that is causing this problem? You have to check yourself first. You don't need a counselor to tell you what you're doing wrong. I've seen a situation where people go to report a case or try to talk to somebody to advise them, or there's a conflict. And when you hear the man's side of the story and you hear the woman's side of the story, you see that they are saying two different things. So even if you go to a counselor, like I said, both the cleric, both the counselor, they are going to tell you a solution based on what you're telling them.
But they're helping you one
They are
way or the
helping
other.
you, which probably you are not even being honest with them. Okay, if you have a partner that, okay, this my partner loves to drink all the time. You try your possible best to stop the partner from drinking, and he refuses. Do you think he's a counselor that is going to stop him? No, he will get to a point where that drink will cause something to him that will make him say, oh, I'm not doing this again.
So do we have to wait till that time? Do we have
That's
to
why I
wait till
say
that
you
extent?
be honest with
Or
yourself.
all right, so what now?
Be honest with yourself and work on yourself.
Let me come in from another angle here. Now you're saying that pastors and all will advise you based on what you say to them.
Yes.
So whose fault is that?
It's your fault.
Exactly. And because you came to them with your story, with your part of the story,
So
and
you
you're
don't
telling
need to
them
blame
what you
them.
want them to do.
Because
why-
you
see-
didn't even want to tell yourself the truth before going to them. Because
but
if
they
you
are in
told
the
yourself
position
the
to
truth,
tell you
I don't
the
think
truth.
you understand
No,
what I don't
if-
think
if-
you understand what what's it called, couple therapies actually do. See, the fact about it is that when couples go to therapists, they speak everything. They talk about everything. It's an open space because it's between you and that person. It doesn't go beyond that. Your pastor have said it before. There's a limit to what you can tell them. And I'll say this because I can remember going for a program. You know, Nigerians, we don't really have much of couple therapists or anything. So she was talking about the fact that there are a lot of people today, they are in relationships that they are not happy in, or they are having one struggle or the other. And a lot of them don't always open up. They don't always open up. But when they come to therapists or they come to meet a therapy, when they come for therapy and they meet a therapist, they have that access to do what? To open up. So everything that they want to say, no matter how nasty or dirty it is, no matter how powerful it is, you have that access to say everything there. And when the both of you are coming together, you're putting in the work, you're putting in the process, it will work out. It will definitely work out. Not like pastors. Pastors are meant to worship with you, to pray with you, but they are not meant to give you any advice.
No.
Give you
Oh,
spiritual
don't
guidance.
let us mix it up.
Everybody is
Don't mix
spiritually
it.
inclined.
No.
Everybody
Don't get it
spiritually
twisted.
inclined.
Don't get it twisted. If you are a leader, now they are spiritual leader. If you are a leader, you must be able to work to see to the welfare of your followers.
And that's why I say you should pray for them.
No.
So you don't need to advise
Beyond the
them.
prayer,
Pray for them.
we've seen. I've seen
Let them go and meet
personally
a therapist.
where marriages are being restored by the help of the clerics.
I mean,
So they also have a role to play.
Okay, so in all of this, Kenny, going by the parts, the points of which you have taken, to what rate do you think cleric involvements have actually destabilized some marriages? What's your ratio?
A lot now.
Over 10.
I gave you my own experience.
Over 10.
Yeah, probably 7. Yeah. 7.
Wow.
Yeah,
You've done damage,
I'm giving my own experience. So
Come on.
yeah.
I'm in the middle. I'll just give you 5. I give you 5.
Okay, and Temisayo, on your part,
I think
on what ratio would you think cleric involvement have actually helped in resolving issues in marriage?
the
Resolving
success
now.
rate has been 6/10. To be sincere.
Okay, 6/10. So
Yes.
that's more like a fair.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
And you're
Fair
supposed to
part.
give it 100 or
And I was
10.
about
No, 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 no,
Say
that, no,
100.
no, no. It's not perfect. It's not perfect because when you see this cleric as well, we have some that are not being sincere, and they you seize this opportunity to to see their members as a prey, and they take an
and that is the
advantage
problem,
of them.
and that is the
All right.
So
problem
that means
today.
it could not,
That
it
is the
might not
problem
be a
today.
blessing, right?
That's
It
the
might
problem
not be a
today.
blessing.
And that's why it's a 6/10. It's a blessing when the pastor is sincere and is genuine, but it's become a curse when the pastor is fake and is not knowledgeable.
And we have a lot of
enough.
fake today. How
You-
would you know the
it's-
one that
it's-
is jet?
You will know, like I said
No,
earlier,
how?
by their fruits you should know them.
Fruit what?
When the pastor himself is married to more than one wife, when the pastor himself is divorced,
Even
he's
the
no
one that are
longer a
successful
pastor.
are not genuine. So what are we not saying?
They
If-
say,
if-
follow
if-
my
if-
words and
genuine.
not my
no,
footsteps.
that means you yourself, you are
you
not being
understand?
sincere with yourself. You must know when you get to the church by what they do, you should be able to know that this person is not sincere.
For
when you
where-
still failed marriages, you know. From their children, you see the way they raise their children. You see couples together, the way they live their life. You know, I cannot live my life this way. You lead by example.
You've not seen criminal
So the
liars,
cleric
Abi?
must
You see what they
You've
want you
not
to
seen
see,
professional
actually. You
liars,
don't
so,
see everything. You see what they want you to see.
I think my last question regarding that is looking at the rate of divorces also among pastors. What's your take? How do we place that? Is it that they are the set of people that says do what I say and don't do what I do, or do how is that said?
Yeah.
Follow
Do-
my words, not
follow
my
my
footsteps.
words and not my
Not
Yeah.
my
And
footsteps.
And the
Yeah,
reason
yeah,
why
not my
that is
action.
happening is because they are not seeing a therapist. Let them go and see a certified therapist. They too, they are married.
Do you
to
know
be
that
saved.
some people have gone to therapists and that even broke them the more?
Broke them the more. And so
For
at
real.
that rate, you know that
For
yes,
real.
just divorce and be going.
That is what I
Because you've
say.
done that. Yeah,
Anything
yes,
that
yes,
will
and
that will
was
take
what we
me to
agreed in that
therapist,
regard.
let's just scatter the
Even
table.
No.
there are many
You need to put in the
therapists
work.
that
You
are
need to
not
put in the
even
work.
having a peaceful home. Let's be
I've
sincere.
said it before. I've said this before, and I feel like you're not
Yes.
listening. They don't give you their experience. It is your experience that they are working with. Try
How
to
will
understand
you
that. Or go and
advise
Google what
me
a therapist
when-
is all about.
When you yourself couldn't advise yourself,
Ah,
what
no,
then do you want to
So
advise
what does that
me?
have to do with being a
And
therapist? Go
Kenny-
and Google therapist and understand what it means.
And Kenny-
They're not giving you the experience. Please
Kenny,
note that.
Kenny, so
Know that.
if
That-
therapists,
and you all have to. We all
Kenny,
have
if
to.
therapists are giving advice based on the teaching they've gotten, based on the books they've read, that means you're determining.
Not just the
that
books,
Means,
yeah.
That means you are
They are
trying to
old
help me.
school.
That means you are trying to help me determine my life and find the direction.
Not
based
determining
on
to
what you
determine.
have
That is the
read.
problem. Not determining. So we don't understand what therapist means, and I feel like we need to go back and understand what it means. They are not. It's not just about the study. I've talked about it. They are also picking from your experience, getting to understand what they have learned and putting everything into place to help you. That's why I said it's a process when it comes to therapy. It's a process. It's not something that just happens once. Your pastor will just come, give you advice, and go. That is the end of it.
But some
a therapist
pastors
will be
follow
working
up.
with.
No.
How many of them
If
follow?
Some
a
follow up,
How
pastors
many
don't
of them
follow.
follow? Mention one.
Now,
Mention
I'm
one
not a
that follow
pastor.
up.
Let me give you an instance. Let me use myself as a case study now. I'm not a pastor, but I desire to go to a Bible school to learn more about it. And in that school, you will be taught everything, holistic teaching. So you don't need to even be a pastor before you have knowledge about a situation.
Yeah, go back, Barry.
Do you understand? So if you call yourself a pastor or a cleric or imam, you must have the understanding of how a successful marriage should be. So if someone comes to you for an advice, you should be able to guide the person right.
And some of these people are still having a
Do
failed
you know
marriage.
that some pastors are
so
they're
what are
only
we talking
gifted
about?
in healing?
What are we talking
Some
about?
pastors are only gifted in healing. Some are gifted in teaching.
Okay,
So how
Exactly,
can someone
exactly.
be gifted in healing now?
let me come in.
Just
in this-
marriage.
Okay, hold on, please. Let me come in from this perspective. There is anointing. There is an aspect of anointing. If you are a man of God, whatsoever, but there is an aspect of administration. That is where we must dwell the more. You must be able to administer people, give them direction. Because if you have a congregation, you have youths who are desperate to make money, who want to succeed in all aspects of their lives, you must be able to teach them the dignity of labor. You have a couple who their marriage is going to crumble like the wall of Jericho. You must be able to advise them right. That is why you are a leader. A leader is not someone that look up to someone. A leader is who people look up to. So if you are a cleric, your members look up to you in all aspects. So you must be able to guide them right.
But
How many of them are guiding them right? That's the question.
Coming from another
That's the
angle,
question.
so how do we handle? I know you've talked about genuity and all that, but how do we handle situation where clerics have also, through their personal advice, but because some people would take their life experience to teach and also advise you, and that could go wrong. And also to the part of where we have lots of people. This one, women, the ladies are the ones. No, people of my pastor said this, and because my pastor said this,
That's
Okay.
it has to be the right thing.
That,
Despite the fact that the pastor is a man and he's also going through his own personal challenges
Sure.
somewhere at home. So how do we balance that?
the most important thing to do here is for we, the followers, to get knowledge.
You, the followers.
We must get knowledge. You see, whatever the pastor or the cleric or the imam is telling you and is not in alignment with the Holy Bible or the Holy Book that you're reading, is not true, it's not correct. You must be able, there must be a meeting point. Yes, you must be able to balance the two. So whatever is telling you, you must be able to, and you should be able to read. All right, from experience, from your own personal experience, from your own knowledge, your exposure, you should be able to determine, oh, this person is not leading me right. No, you don't follow everything people tell you. Not everything. You must be able to look at it. Is this thing right or wrong?
So that goes back to being honest with yourself.
Yes.
If you can't manage yourself, manage your marriage, I don't think another person out there can do it for you. And that's the fact.
But going by the way this Gen Z generation are moving, those ones that are very much on the fast lane, that don't read, let's say example, they don't read manual before opening the products and just go ahead and use it. They need the involvement of a higher authority that would help set things right.
You see where the problem is coming from. I said it before, it's the dating phase. A lot of parents want their daughters to get married quick. They don't really care if the relationship is going fine. It's like, get married. And you see some people getting married to someone that they can't even manage. And before you know what's going on, boom, marriage don't scatter. You can see people, you think they are very happy, but you don't even know what's going on inside. So it still boils down to the fact that you have to be honest with yourself. Your partner also should be honest with themselves. Where you see where you're coming wrong, you try to fix it. When your partner even sees you trying to make an effort, it will also touch them to be like, okay, he's trying to make an effort. Let me make an effort. But I keep saying, whatever is going to make me and my wife seek third party, I don't think that marriage is going to last. The third party might come and give us a temporal solution, but it's not going to last forever. We will outgrow it unless this third party updates themselves the way we update the apps on our phone, because viruses are coming, new viruses are coming. So we have to update our antivirus on our phone so that it can, it can go with that. But if you say a therapist that learned something maybe 10 years ago and still applying the same thing, like you say, Gen Z, things are different right now. Things are really different. People are getting married at a younger age. People are not even waiting to deal with each other. That is how many people have you broken up with before you get married? This one is not doing well, I break up with her. This one is not doing well, I break up with her. And then when you get married, you get stuck. You find yourself in a situation where you are stuck. And since you are stuck, you don't know what to do. The highest thing you can do is look for a route of escape, right? An escape route. That's why I keep saying that the therapist is not going to solve your problem if you are not willing to help yourself and to be honest with yourself. So before you go to the therapist, you should be honest with each other. I've seen people in therapies where they curse each other out. The therapists just get tired and like, keep quiet and look at it.
People should leave me
And when we
alone.
finish from a therapist, we go home and say, so you have the guts to tell the therapist something like this. So you have to know yourself. You have to know your partner. And that's why I'm just going to stop.
And just leave the pastors out of it.
Leave them out
and
of it.
remember, we are
If you need
religious
prayer,
country.
they should call you. Call them for prayers.
Remember, we are a very
Religious.
religious country. And so we need the guidance of our counselors.
We need
Tayo,
them.
your
We
final word
need
before I go
them.
to
We
Kenny.
need them. Sincerely, we need them. And the reason is this. We need prayer for our marriage to be successful. We need their counsel as well, because it is believed that they are closer to God. Not because we are not close to God, or not because we are not closer to God, but because they dedicate their lives to that cause. All right. So whenever we have issue in our marriage, not all the time, when the conflict goes beyond our capacity, we can go to them. Not all of the
A
time.
question just came to mind
Okay.
right now for you, Tayo. Now, let me paint a scenario. In a situation whereby, God forbid, you have a wife who's pregnant and she wants to deliver, and CS was proposed by the doctors. And in the course of counseling and all that, especially for some churches who don't even get involved in such, and the pastor said, no, don't do it. Go the natural way. And the doctor says, no, best way, let's do a CS. And eventually, because the wife got stuck with the fact that, oh, my pastor has always advised me and it has worked. So no, I'm not doing CS. And eventually the baby dies. Now, not even the wife, the baby dies. What would be your take?
Wow. On that note, I will say that the member or the person, the husband,
speak plain English. You're speaking American English now. Speak plain.
is not knowledgeable. The person is gullible. That is
But that is the advice of the pastor. Remember,
I
talked
said
about the
it
obsession with
earlier
pastors today.
that as a follower, there must be a balance. You must be able to.
He's the enlightened one, not a lot of those that we have today.
No,
he's the one that is enlightened
even
enough.
my own cleric told me, see, whenever
many of
you
them
are
today?
sick, the first thing to do, consult your doctor. Then on your
How
hospital
many?
bed, I can come there and pray for you. That is the ideal thing to do.
How many? Some pastors will not
that is
even
why
come
I
and pray
said
for you.
You must follow right. You yourself must invest in yourself to be able to determine what is right and what is wrong.
So I guess
we are saying
you
the
all have
same
that
thing
agreement
right
in
now.
fact that you yourself.
You're coming to Kenny, your final word, because you've spoken theirs already. Your final word.
I've said it. I don't know. When it comes to a relationship or marriage, please.
Involvement of your clerics.
Cleric is a no. You can go to them. See, the fact about it is that your parent, like I said, your pastor can give you an advice, your parents can give you an advice, even your friends can. Everybody can do that. But if you have reached that point that you need someone to talk to and everything, please go to a certified therapist. That's just reality. A lot of pastors today are
Go
fake.
to your genuine
Fake.
pastor
How
to
would
pray
you know
for you,
genuine?
lead you right, and ensure that he himself is a success.
Hey.
Every problem is not spiritual.
Oh.
You understand? So it's not everything you go to pastor. And you personally should be able to get so close to God that you can communicate and hear from him.
Exactly.
Because sometimes when something goes out there, it becomes different from what is happening. It's like it has escalated to this point. So there's no turning back. So my own be say, my speak pidgin. And clerics are not a blessing to marry. They can only bless your marriage. But whatever is going on in your marriage is your responsibility to know how to sort it out. If you really need advice, you think you can't take it, just like she said, go to a certified counselor. Let them help you out. It's not a cleric. It's not their...
Okay, but your certified counselors are one-time people, and once they are done with you, next
Yeah,
client.
that's their profession.
That's a profession.
Next
Once you feel like you're done, then you guys can have an agreement and leave.
All right, so that's our edition today on the living room. You have heard different perspectives regarding our topic of discussion, which is cleric involvement in marriages. Is this a blessing or the other way around? Could they have done more in helping us bring down the level of divorce that we have right now? Or they're just human. They can only do the things they can do. And, well, leave it all up to God. You can actually drop your comments and reaction at our comment section, of course, on our social media handle, which is at the Living Room NG across social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We are always there. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll be able to know when we drop our latest edition. My name is Temidayo Anthony. Thank you so much to Temidayo.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure.
And of course, Kamal.
Thank you for having me.
Gently talking, but then dropping his bomb like. And Kenny too was on fire today. Thank you, Kenny, for making this really great. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Till then, have a wonderful time and stick with us because we deliver it as it hot.